If I wanted to get started in HVAC, is there any sort of certification or training if I want to invest my time and money into getting that type of stuff? What should I look for if I want to be more of a qualified individual for the HVAC trade?
Absolutely, and that's a great point, Austin, because coming into HVAC, there actually are some guideline certifications that you have to have. One of them is the EPA 608 certification to even handle refrigerant, and that's really what that certification is. EPA has certain guidelines on refrigerant handling and how to hook up gauges, and if you do anything with refrigerant, you have to have the 608 EPA license. So that would be the first and foremost that you would want to get, and I'll kind of break down what EPA is. So Environmental Protection Agency, they monitor any chemicals that get released into the environment, and so they want to have a control or a monitor type system on that, right? So if you get that license, you're now telling the federal government, hey, I understand the guidelines, I'm responsible of those guidelines, and I'm going to act accordingly, and if not, there are some heavy fines and penalties for that. Legally, you can't even handle refrigerant without this EPA refrigerant license. You can't purchase it from supply houses, things of that nature. There are three different categories when it comes to the EPA 608. You have a type 1, which is for small type systems holding only a certain small amount of refrigerant. Type 1 is dealing with low temp refrigeration type stuff. You know, your walk-in freezers, reach-in freezers, refrigerators, things of that nature, really small appliances. Type 2 is really what you would need to have to do residential and light commercial HVAC. So all your big HVAC companies that you see out there for residential, that one you need a type 2 license to have. And then of course you have a type 3. That's where you get more into commercial industrial air conditioning and refrigeration. Even though they're all off the same premise, because of their size and their capabilities, that's why the need for the different license on how to handle the refrigerant in those applications.
Okay, and then what about the NATE certification? I've heard about that one. I'm not no professional when it comes to the NATE certification, but I heard that's a pretty good one, or one to get for the HVAC too.
Absolutely. So the NATE certification stands for North American Technician Excellence. And what that certification is that you've shown proficiency in this industry. It's a very difficult test. Most people that try to take that test for the first time are not very successful because there is a lot, the way the questions are asked, that you have to have a good understanding of HVAC and be able to pull from that knowledge pool to be able to even answer those questions. If you're unable to do that because you don't have that experience or understanding, it's going to make it very, very difficult just to go in and answer those questions. But it is a test that some HVAC companies require to be able to have. So let's say you're looking to become a tech, like we talked about earlier. You go to a company and say, hey, I'm ambitious, I want to get into HVAC. You don't have these certifications. If they have a good training program set up, they may have that already included in their training program to be able to get you prepared correctly to be able to take those NATE exams. Any of these exams, they're not free. They do have a cost to them. Again, you're investing in yourself, your career, and your family when you go and take these exams. But by having those are accomplishments. One thing about NATE, once you get a NATE certification, and they've got multiple different areas. You've got a NATE certification for installation, heat pump, gas heat, air distribution. So all these different factors and areas, even on service and maintenance, you get to pick and choose which specialties you want to get. Now, once you get NATE certified, you're not NATE certified forever.
So is there a NATE certification like over all of it, or like you're saying you have to get a NATE certification for each different one?
Correct. You want to do it for each single one. So I'll give you an example. If I live in the Midwest, up in the northern area, maybe Chicago area, in this big gas heat area, right? Then maybe my focus is on getting an NATE certification for gas heat specific.
Okay.
Here in Arizona, we're a big heat pump area, so maybe my focus is going to be on AC heat pump here in Phoenix. And you can go and get every single one of them if you want. And the more you have, the better it's going to be for you. But know this, NATE is set up that once you get NATE certified, it's only good for 2 years. To keep the NATE certification going so it doesn't lapse, you have to continue your education. You got to attend some type of training annually to be able to keep your NATE credits up so that your license doesn't lapse. If NATE doesn't see anything come into them on your behalf that says, hey, you've attended this course that gives you this many credits, then they will get rid of your NATE certification and you'll have to redo all the testing at that point.
So if someone wants to okay, I should get my EPA 608 or my NATE, where can they look, or what should they do in order to get those certifications?
Great question, because it's kind of in-house in the HVAC industry, right?
Okay.
However, if someone goes in and gets their foot in the door with a company, right, it's going to be very difficult to get it outside of not already being in the HVAC realm. You can probably reach out to ESCO. ESCO is a big organization that has a lot of the 608. There's some different companies that may offer 608. You'll have to do the research to see who's doing that testing and see if they'll allow you to be able to take that test. So that's a way. But NATE certifications typically isn't something, you're usually going to get that in trade school. A lot of trade schools are administering the NATE test. I know when I do the Build-A-Tech classes for Linux, we include the NATE testing into that. And there are some companies, I've talked to some here in the Valley, that in their training program, they actually have a program to where they require that technicians get their NATE at some point.
Okay.
And here's the other advantage, especially with that particular company, is that as they get those NATE certifications, they give them raises on top of that. So everything that they pass, that bumps them up a little bit more when it comes to pay.
Okay, interesting. And then what about the EPA 609? Because I've seen that one too.
So absolutely. So you have an EPA 608, you have an EPA 609, and here's the difference between the two. 608, you've got a type 1, type 2, type 3, and that is for what we discussed already, refrigeration, small refrigeration, residential and light commercial, and then you have your type 3, which is industrial. And that is to work in any of those aspects and industries. But it doesn't pertain to vehicles.
Okay.
So underneath the hood, the AC system that's underneath the hood of every vehicle out there that has an AC system, that all falls under what they call MVAC, so different than HVAC. And that requires the 609 license, so that's an MVAC license.
Okay. So let's say maybe I want to get into automotive mechanics. So
Yes.
Should I pursue the 609?
100%.
Okay.
Yes.
And then how important do you think it is to go and get the 608, let's say if I want to go do residential HVAC, is it important for me to go try to get my 608 and my NATE certification before, let's say, applying or trying to get to like a residential HVAC company near me? Do you think that's important? Is that a good step I should take, or should I try to land a job as a helper or as a laborer, or get my foot in the door with that HVAC company first and see if they'll offer for me to get it?
Absolutely. I would go with what you said the second time.
Okay.
Looking to get in with a company. Companies know that if somebody is eager and wants to learn, and they pick that up, right? It's just that human natural experience that we have interacting with each other. If I got somebody that comes to me and they're like, hey, I'm humble, I want to get into this trade, I want to learn, I heard that this is a great company, and I really want to be a part of it, what do I need to do? And they go, well, what certifications? Everybody's going to ask, what do you have? What do you have to offer? And you're going to say, well, nothing. I have literally nothing other than my ambition to be able to do that. And if that company's willing to take you on, they'll bring you on with nothing. And they know the importance of getting those certifications and things. And they're like, okay, you want to do this? Here's what we'll do. What I've seen from most companies, and this is actually the best way to do it, because now you got your foot in the door. This company's now going to say, before I can use you, I need you to get that 608. I'll tell you what, maybe that company either pays for it, or maybe they say, hey, you pay for half, we'll pay for the other half. And if you fail it, then you're going to have to retake it, but you're going to have to pay for it out of pocket yourself. Companies do it all kinds of different ways. Those are just some ways I've seen out there in the field. But once you get it, you've got the EPA for life. That doesn't lapse, that stays constant.
Okay.
But now The NATE certification, it just depends on if the company requires you to have that NATE certification. So going back to your original question, should somebody do it before or after? I would definitely say wait till you get in with a company, because you don't know what programs they have already set up.
Okay.
It could save you a lot of time and money. And plus, trying to take these tests without understanding the industry makes it so much more difficult.
100%.